The true meaning behind the number 666 and the mark of the beast. Part 1. The introduction, sowing the seeds of mystery. As the flickering flame of the solitary candle casts dancing shadows upon ancient parchment, we find ourselves drawn into the depths of a sacred text, a book woven with prophecies and enigmatic visions. Tonight, we dare to confront one of its most persistent and unsettling mysteries, the number 666 and the ominous mark of the beast. For centuries, this cryptic symbol has haunted the fringes of human imagination, sparking both terror and fascination. Is it a literal tattoo, a futuristic microchip, or something far more profound, echoing through the corridors of history and theology? Join us as we embark on a contemplative journey to peel back the layers of fear and speculation, seeking to uncover the true meaning behind these symbols, and perhaps a deeper understanding of the eternal struggle they represent. Part 2. The Body, a journey of deep discovery. A. The historical and cultural context. To truly grasp the significance of 666 and the mark, we must first transport ourselves back to the turbulent era in which the Book of Revelation was penned. Written by John during a period of intense persecution of early Christians by the Roman Empire, Revelation is not a straightforward historical account but an apocalyptic vision, rich in symbolism and coded language. Christians faced immense pressure to conform to Roman imperial cult, which demanded worship of the emperor as divine. Refusal often meant social ostracization, economic hardship, and even martyrdom. This historical crucible forged a literary response, a message of hope, warning, and ultimate triumph for a suffering community. Understanding this context is paramount, for it reveals that the symbols within Revelation were not abstract future predictions, but urgent, relevant messages to believers grappling with immediate and overwhelming challenges. They were meant to encourage faithfulness and resilience in the face of an oppressive, seemingly all-powerful regime. B. Decoding the scripture and evidence. Our primary source for these symbols is Revelation 13:16-18, which states, "It also forced all people, great and small, rich and poor, free and slave, to receive a mark on their right hands or on their foreheads, so that they could not buy or sell unless they had the mark, which is the name of the beast or the number of its name." This calls for wisdom. Let the person who has insight calculate the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man. That number is 666. Let us dissect this passage with care. The mark is intrinsically linked to economic activity, buy or sell, and worship. To participate in the dominant system, one must bear this mark, signifying allegiance. The phrase "the number of a man" or "the number of its name" is crucial. In ancient Hebrew and Greek cultures, letters also held numerical values, a practice known as gematria. This was a common literary device. Scholars widely agree that 666 is a deliberate numerical cipher intended to point to a specific individual or entity known to John's original audience without explicitly naming them, which would have been dangerously subversive. The most compelling and historically supported interpretation among scholars is that 666 refers to Nero Caesar. In Hebrew transliteration, the name Nero Caesar, Neron Caesar, Enron QSR, numerically adds up to 666. If the Latin spelling Nero Caesar is used, which omits the final nun, n, the sum is 616, a variant found in some ancient manuscripts of Revelation. This variation actually strengthens the argument for gematria, suggesting scribal awareness of the cipher and different transliterations. Nero, the infamous Roman emperor, was a brutal persecutor of Christians, responsible for the deaths of Peter and Paul, and even scapegoated Christians for the Great Fire of Rome. To the early Christian community, Nero embodied the epitome of tyrannical evil, an anti-God figure who demanded ultimate allegiance and ruthlessly punished dissent. Thus, the beast and its number would have been a recognizable, yet coded, condemnation of the imperial power that oppressed them. C. The hidden theological meaning. Beyond the historical cipher, 666 and the mark carry profound theological weight. The mark of the beast stands in stark contrast to the seal of God, Revelation 7-3, 14-1. While the seal of God signifies divine ownership, protection, and faithfulness to Christ, the mark of the beast represents allegiance to an opposing power, a willingness to compromise one's faith for economic stability or social acceptance. It symbolizes a total surrender to an earthly system that demands worship and obedience above God. The number 6 itself, in biblical numerology, often symbolizes human imperfection, falling short of the divine perfection of 7. 3 sixes, 666, could therefore emphasize ultimate human imperfection, a triple manifestation of sin and rebellion against God, or a grotesque imitation of the divine Trinity. It signifies humanity's attempt to elevate itself to God's status, a recurring theme of idolatry and pride throughout Scripture. It is a symbol not just of an individual tyrant, but of any system, ideology, or power that seeks to usurp God's authority and demand ultimate loyalty from humanity. It speaks to the seductive nature of worldly power, comfort, and security, often at the cost of spiritual integrity. D. Controversies and theories. Despite the strong scholarly consensus regarding Nero, the number 666 and the mark of the beast remain fertile ground for ongoing debate and diverse interpretations, often fueled by fear and apocalyptic speculation. One prominent theory, especially prevalent in modern times, interprets the mark as a literal, physical implant or technology, such as a microchip or barcode that will be mandatory for all economic transactions. This view often disconnects the symbol from its original historical and literary context, projecting it entirely into a future scenario. While technology certainly presents new ethical dilemmas, reducing the mark solely to a technological device risks overlooking its deeper spiritual and theological implications about allegiance and worship. Another school of thought links 666 to various political figures or institutions throughout history, from the papacy to specific world leaders, often employing elaborate and often specious numerical calculations. These interpretations frequently arise during times of social upheaval or perceived threats, reflecting a human tendency to seek concrete, identifiable villains. However, such approaches often neglect the symbolic and contextual nature of revelation, turning it into a predictive timeline rather than a spiritual allegory for enduring principles. The key controversy lies in whether to interpret revelation literally or symbolically. A strictly literal interpretation can lead to alarmist predictions and misapplications, while a purely symbolic reading might, some argue, diminish the urgency of its prophetic warnings. Our approach at Candlelight emphasizes a contextual understanding, recognizing the primary meaning for its original audience, while also its enduring spiritual resonance for believers today. The mark of the beast is less about a specific future technology and more about the ever-present temptation to compromise one's faith and allegiance to God for the sake of worldly power, security, or convenience. Part 3. The Conclusion, an Eternal Echo. As our candle burns low, illuminating the profound depths of Scripture, we come to understand that the number 666 and the mark of the beast are far more than a simple code or a future omen. They are a powerful, ancient warning, echoing across millennia. They speak not just of a historical tyrant like Nero, but of an enduring spiritual principle, the insidious nature of worldly power that seeks to usurp divine authority and demand our ultimate allegiance. The true meaning lies in the call for wisdom, for insight to discern where our loyalties truly lie. Are we marked by the world's values, its pursuit of power, wealth, and self-gratification, or are we sealed by the Spirit of God, dedicated to truth, justice, and sacrificial love? The choice, ultimately, remains deeply personal, yet profoundly universal. What systems, what ideologies, what comforts do we allow to place their mark upon our lives, subtly influencing our decisions and shaping our very souls. In this profound question lies the true enduring legacy of 666 and the mark of the beast, a timeless challenge to every seeker of truth.